So here I am doing another video. Alright, so this is part 2 to the first video that I did, where I titled the video Africans always lying and capping and gaslighting when it comes to ADOS. Alright, so this is the second panel that I was able to come across of Africans just being so intellectually dishonest. All right, so I'm gonna start with this clip right here. All right, so check this clip out.
Go ahead, Alan. It's like when I was in elementary school, I remember it was like if you're African, you had to hang out with the Haitians. You couldn't hang out with
Haitians are proud people, though. I love it.
All right, so as you can see already, they're being tribal. All right, because she just said that you had to hang out with the Haitians. So already you're seeing this clicking up thing between continental Africans and Afro-Caribbeans, all right? So already she's saying that I had to click up with the Haitians, all right? So let's continue on.
So it was like, okay, so you're African, you hang out with the Haitians. You either do voodoo, you smell, or you're African booty scratching. I'm like, what the hell?
All right, see, look. This is cat. Either you smell, you do voodoo, or you're African booty scratcher. Now look. I'm telling you right now that middle school children ain't talking like that. Elementary school children definitely ain't talking like that. And in high school, that's really not something that's on the agenda. As far as what's your culture, do you do voodoo, you smell, or maybe the you smell part. But usually people are going to talk to those who they are well acquainted with like that. They're not going to go up to somebody that they have no dealings with and talk like that, all right? But let me just touch on the African booty scratcher thing that she just mentioned. Now, when I was in elementary and in grammar school going up to middle school, we didn't go to school with no Africans and no immigrants from the Caribbean whatsoever. All right? Period. And that was in the 80s. All right, and when we did call each other African booty scratcher, we would say that to each other, meaning ADOS talking to each other, not talking to no continental Africans, not talking to no Afro-Caribbeans, because they just wasn't around. So we're calling each other that, all right? And now as elementary/grammar school children, we would play the dozens. We would talk about each other, say, your mama's so fat, this, or you black African booty scratcher, or I know you are, but what am I? This is what children do to each other. All right? So when she comes with this African booty scratcher narrative, is disingenuous. And the term wasn't African booty scratcher. It was you black African booty scratcher. All right? So now we're talking about so-called black Americans. We would say you black African booty scratcher, or your mama so black, or your mama so fat, or your mama so ugly. These are the things that we would say to each other. So everybody got teased, not just Africans. Everybody got teased. And this is what I mean, again, when I say that they be capping and gaslighting, all right? And as far as the do you do voodoo thing, that's bullshit. She made that up. She made the African booty scratcher thing up too. And these are college students. So she had to be in high school just a few years prior, and in junior high a few years prior, and in elementary school maybe 10 years prior. All right, so we're talking 2010-ish. She's making this up. The African booty scratcher thing is old. It's old, like it's in the 80s. It's long before she was born. But again, it's cap. All right, so let's continue on.
And it was to the point that I remember I went to school and I was like, yeah, I'm Jamaican. And that was the day like my mom decided to come to my school. And I was like, oh my God. My mom like creeped up and she's like, you said you're what? I was like,
she's lying. So you're telling people that you're Jamaican, but I just thought that they was calling you an African booty scratcher. So which is it? You was lying saying you was Jamaican, or you said that you was a Nigerian like you are? So which is it? So either you're African booty scratcher, or you're telling people that you're Jamaican and you're not. Now, if you were saying that you were Jamaican and they called you an African booty scratcher, that's proof that we said that to each other here without even knowing each other's background. All right, so let's continue on with her fucking lies.
I am not, she's like way too your dad gets back. And I was like, and it was like terrible because it's like, how am I weird because I happen to come from a certain country? It's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, if anything, I think it's a good thing. It's like, we have so much culture. This should be like a learning example. Like, you guys can exchange something, but it's like,
It's not taking us that.
yeah.
All right, so then she goes on to say, how am I weird because I come from a certain country? All right, now, so which is it now? Did you finally tell the people that you was Nigerian, or you always told them that you was Nigerian and you just made that Jamaican story up, or you said that you was Jamaican and then they still called you an African booty scratcher? Like, which is it? And then she goes on to say that what's the big deal about her culture? Nothing. And then she says that this can be a learning experience for you. See? Now, did you see the shot that she took? So essentially what she's saying is, I have so much culture, you have none, and you need to learn from me. See, that's another thing that these Africans be doing. They be taking shots on the low. They be sneak dissing. And our people don't pick it up, man. And this is a prime example of why we need to separate. We're ADOS, no more flat blackness. We are American descendants of slavery. And shout out to Empowering ADOS, all right? Because I learned about the diaspora wars from her channel. So go check out Empowering ADOS, all right? Go check out her YouTube channel. She's great. She's got that fire, and she's committed. She's down for the cause, all right? But yeah, so these Africans are just not our friends. These are not our people. All right? These people are not our people. All right? Now I'm going to go to another clip of the same individual, but just at a different stage in the video. All right here. Let's see.
Sell online and grow your business with Wix e-commerce. Create a beautiful.
All right, bow.
What was it? I believe you said something to the effect.
Let's see.
Say that you talked about what was it?
So when you bundle your home and auto, you can say,
Who wants a home and auto bundle extrava festa save-a-thon t-shirts?
All right.
I believe you said something to the effect of slave trade. Yes, it's like I get annoyed when people say that because it's like
Wait for it.
White people that sold black people is not even anything compared to the black people who sold other black people. And
See that? See that? See? Making excuses for not wanting to talk about the issue. The issue is not the number of people on either side that sold slaves. The issue is that it existed. And the issue is that these people pretend from the continent, they pretend like they know nothing about it. And the reason that they come into our communities or they come to our country, all right, a country that our ancestors fought and died for, when your ancestors fled your country, you're not in your shithole country, you're in my country, telling us what history that we should either spend time speaking on or not. All right? How dare you, woe unto you in my country, telling us what we should be focused on or not. How about you go back to your country and touch on the issues there? How about you go back to your country and fight for your country? How about you go back to your country and fix it? Since you're so cultured and you love it so much and you come from so much cultural wealth, how about you go back there and show us that? You see, and see, this is what I mean when they come here and try to say what we should be focused on or not. And not only that, the 400 years of slavery that my ancestors went through here is a debt that hasn't been paid and needs to be paid. All right. And so many other groups have gotten reparations. The Japanese, the Chinese here in this country who built the railroads. All right. Israel, same-sex marriage couples had a reparations bill passed to them. And now illegal immigrants, there's talks about them getting reparations. Biden is in talks about it right now. So we want our just due. And they always try to run with this narrative that we're sitting back waiting for reparations. No, we ain't sitting back waiting on anything. We are still going about our business day to day. However, we're still entertaining the conversation and we are still clinging to that history because that's our history here. We have an ancestry in the history of slavery. This is a stain on our country, which is none of your business. Your business is in Nigeria, not here in my country. All right. And this is what they try to say. But we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're teachers, we're armed forces veterans, all right? We're millionaires, we're business owners, we're entrepreneurs. We're not just sitting around waiting for reparations. And see, this is what I mean about the gaslighting and the intellectual dishonesty that comes from these people. Look, all right, so let's continue on.
And slavery's been going on since the beginning of time. People sold people. White people sold white people. Yeah, it's like, it's unfortunate, but it's like, what can we do? And it's like...
See, it's unfortunate, but what can we do? Now, if I'm not mistaken, there is a country in Africa that got reparations from Germany for what happened. All right. But you never hear them take that position when it comes to the continent. Okay, yeah. So what can we do? And then I'm not even going to get into all of the aid that the United States government has given to African countries. But you never hear them say, well, why are you worrying about that? That was back during this time. Focus on now and move forward. You never hear them take that position when it comes to that. But when it comes to us, all right, which they always want to talk about ADOS, but never talking about what's going on in their shithole countries. All right, let's continue on.
Like, what do you want me to say? It's like, there's not much for me to say.
It's also very contextual.
Well, what I want you to do is to be honest. Stop being fraudulent. They are just so fraudulent. All right, so let's continue on.
So, I mean, within like that conversation, I'm not like a historian or anything, but within that conversation of Africans selling Africans, a lot of communities did not know that people were being taken to like another land.
Yeah.
And there were like
At first especially.
yeah, and so exactly at first especially. So I feel like when people say that, I just kind of leave that conversation alone because we are both not historians, and you're just coming from a place where like I can tell like you're upset about something. So
Yeah, so that's not the point. The point is not you didn't know, or you guys didn't know that people were being taken to another land. So who are you speaking for? You know, like if you're not a historian, then why are you talking about who didn't know something about where people were being taken? And see, this is another prime example of what I'm talking about when it comes to them. You see? All right, so some of the things that I wanted to touch on, because I touched on the African booty scratcher thing. Someone mentioned in this series, because this is a 2-part series, so I'm not sure if it is this one or if it is another one. But somebody mentioned the movie Coming to America and how it was offensive. Now, we all see the movie Coming to America, right? We all seen it. For one, it was a comedy. It wasn't based on true events. It was a parody. All right? For number 2, the movie was created by the biggest motion picture industry in the world, which is Los Angeles, California, United States of America. All right? LA, Hollywood. So in saying that, what I'm saying is, if there's anyone who's experts or who's in authority on producing a good comedy for the world to view, is us. All right? Who are these people to say? Because they'll come out and say, oh, we're still a developing country. We've only been a country for 60 years. All right. Well, then shut the fuck up and let your country develop. Stop trying to critique what we're doing here. And see, what it is they come from nothing. They're nothing. They come from a cutthroat, tribal, backstabbing culture, and they bring that here. And they feel that guilt because they sold their own people into slavery for 400 years, millions and millions and millions of their own. They know that. They pretend like they don't know that history, and they come here with that guilt, but they try to project it back on us for frivolous reasons, and I already touched on some of them. But anyway, back to the movie Coming to America. Coming to America, Eddie Murphy played a member of an African royal family. He was an aristocrat. He was wealthy. He dressed well. He spoke well. They lived in the African palace. You know, oh, shit. Yeah, 1 second. All right. He lived in the African palace. They had a African safari of like animals in their backyard. I mean, like they was aristocrats. They was wealthy. He came to the U.S. to find a wife or to find a bride. And if anything, the movie was offensive to our culture because it showed the African culture being superior. It showed them being aristocrats, and it showed us being peasants or commoners. So I'm just trying to understand their logic. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand their methods for coming up with these reasons for why they think that there's a disconnect. And really, it's nothing that we're doing. Really, it's them coming with that emotional baggage because they know that the way that we got over here in the West was because of them, because you are who your ancestors are without doubt or contradiction. So I'm going to say it's because of them that we wound up here through our ancestors, right? So really, that is what it is. That's what it is when you're dealing with them. And so many other things that I want to touch on, right? Right? Because we're coming to the end of my time. But another thing that they like to say is they like to say that we're a conquered people here. Like, I know for a fact that there are some West African individuals that love to say that our men are conquered. Now, here we come from a country where we're only 12 or 13% of the population. Now, they come from a society where they're 85 to 90% of the population, but yet in Nigeria, the official language is English. But we're a conquered people here, where you're the majority in your country and the official language is English. Why isn't it the tribal language or one of the various tribal languages, which I'm going to touch on the tribalism there in Africa. But why isn't it one of the various tribal languages? Why isn't that the dominant language or culture there? All right? So you're 80 to 90% of the population, excuse me, you're 80 to 90% of the population in your country, but yet you speak English. In Abuja, Nigeria, there's a picture of a European Jesus. We don't even have statues of a Europeanized Christ here, and the European is the majority. There in your country, where you're the majority, there's a statue of a Europeanized Jesus. Like, these people can't be serious. Y'all want to come for us? Like, you can't be fucking serious. You can't be serious. And another thing about them, Nigeria was actually named by a European so-called white woman named Flora Shaw, who was the wife of governor of colonial Nigeria. His name was Frederick Lugard. So let me see. So let's pull it up. Let's pull it up real quick. Now, I'm going to look for it, but I'm going to continue on. But here, your country was named after a British woman, but we're conquered. All right? And I can just go on and on and on. Like, they claim to be so cultured and they claim to be the best, but yet you can't go home to your own country that you claim to love so much and fix it. Why can't you fix your own country? That's my question for them. But you're so great, but we're conquered. But yet you fled your country to come here to my country, and then you want to try and critique us, but don't critique where you came from. You have all of the answers for so-called Black America, but no answers for the shithole country that you came from. The audacity of these people, right? And they're always talking about what's going on with us here. They are never talking about what's going on in their countries, right? Never talking about what's going on in their countries. And that's because nobody cares. Like, it's really because nobody's interested. You understand? Nobody is interested. That's what it is. And they're jealous because we're the face of so-called blackness around the world. That's really what it is. Now they want to come here and tether themselves to us and ride off of our coattails and maneuver in and out of our lineage when it's convenient for them. But anyhow, this is a lady that named Nigeria, Flora Shaw. As you can see, Dame Flora Louise Shaw, also known as Lady Lugard. All right? She is credited, as you can see, she is credited with having coined the name Nigeria. All right. So here in your country, where you are 80 to 90% of the country, you claim we're conquered over here, where we're only 12%, but your country is named after, or rather, was named by a British lady. You see? All right. So I don't want to make this video too long. Time is of the essence, but you guys get the point. All right. So this is part 2. I'm wrapping it up. You already know who it is, and with that, I yield. Yeah, and lastly, I'll say this too. See, they like to come here and raise these issues about the disconnect between continental Africans and so-called African Americans, right? Which is bullshit, right? That's just cover. But when you look, and this is specifically in relation to Nigerians, they have over 200 tribes or ethnic groups where they come from. So I'm saying that to say they're not even unified or are one people there. They don't even care about the people. Nigeria is also the poverty capital of the world. All right. So the wealth gap is just extremely large there. All right. So they're not even one people there. But then they want to come to the USA and come around us and ask these frivolous questions like, why aren't continental Africans and ADOS unified? Like, you aren't even unified home. So we know that you ain't coming here intending to unify. So why even raise that issue? And see, this is what I mean when I say that they are some gaslighters. And they're cutthroats. Right? And another thing too, like they love to say that we don't have no culture while swagger jacking our culture. Now look at this guy. Now he's a Nigerian. All right. Where is his tribal or traditional dress? Why does he look like a American born or an American descendant of slavery? Why are you swagger jacking us while saying that we don't have no culture? You see? And this is my thing with these people. And it's just disgusting. And with that being said, I yell back. All right, catch me on the next one.